Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to Mastering the Young Band. Today, for our beginning topic, I wanted to talk about developing and having a music learning sequence to teach your students how to learn any music, whether it's sheet music or a line from their method book. And then also for your second and third year players, I wanted to talk about some strategies to inspire your students to stay in music, especially going from that transition from middle school to high school. First, music learning sequences. I think it's important to teach our beginners how to learn a piece of music when they're not in your classroom. And what I call it is a music learning sequence. And what that sequence is where I teach students that the first thing we usually tackle in our music is rhythm. So I set our metronome and we count through. So for instance, if it's a line in the book, we'll count through the line. And if I've taught them correctly, usually the lines in the book are pretty easy for them. They can count those rhythms right away as step one. So we usually count the line first. The second one is one that I learned in the After Sectionals podcast that I think is just brilliant, and that is dawing the rhythm. What happens is if you just go right from counting to note naming or even to just playing, that correlation of the rhythm to the tongue, it's a big jump. And so when you daw the rhythm, the students correlate the rhythm directly to their articulation. So if you don't know what dawing is, it's simply this. You set the metronome at 72, you count them off. 1, 2, da, 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 da. So the kids just say the rhythm on a da, and again, it gets that articulation of the rhythm before they start thinking about note names and anything else. So step one is count, step two is da, and then step three, what we do is that's when we note name. Now, early on in beginning band, we don't have to worry about key signature, which I'm very thankful for. I'm glad that that's not something that we throw at the kids too early, but they'll just note name it in time and in rhythm. So for instance, if they are doing Merrily We Roll Along, it'll go 1, 2, E, D, C, D, E, 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 D, 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 E, G, G. So the kids will say the pitch. Now, sometimes I'll be playing like an instrument with them or playing it on my harmony director. Sometimes we'll just say it just monotone. E, D, C, D, E, E. The good thing about monotone, especially if it's a song they don't know the tune for, is then they're just thinking about their note name. They're not also thinking about matching pitch. So don't worry too much about them matching pitch. If it's a song they know, chances are they are going to start singing some of those pitches, especially those kids that have had a lot of singing background or elementary music. So step one is count. Step two is da. Step three is note name. Step four is air and finger. Now for me, I actually play everything for my beginners before they play it for most of the year. So in a line in the book, I set the metronome, air and finger for them. So if I'm a flute player, they play off to the side of their tone hole. So they actually are playing on their head joint while they finger. Everyone else is blowing and tonguing into their instrument while fingering along with the music. And then I play. And I'll play an instrument as they go. Is it teaching the song by rote? Yeah, it is a little bit. But again, a lot of these tunes the kids don't necessarily know. And so it's good for them to hear how the rhythm lines up with those note names. So I always play the songs before they do in beginning band, well, almost always, before they play it. They air and finger, and then the last step for me is that's when they finally get to play it. And they play through the whole thing multiple times. Teaching them that learning sequence just really breaks down into steps how you learn a song. And of course, as you probably gathered, this learning sequence isn't just for the students, it's also for us as teachers to make sure that we're being sequential or scaffolded in our teaching of our music. You can do this in sheet music too. Like if you're learning a piece of sheet music, you find a section you want to rehearse, like maybe it measures 8 to 22. You go, all right, here we go, full band. We're going to count 8 to 22. Then you daw 8 to 22. Then you note name is a little bit harder in a mixed band setting. I don't recommend note naming because that can get just messy with all the different notes and everything. But then air and finger and play, and it works really well in full band sheet music settings too. If you don't have a learning sequence, I highly recommend you develop one. And by the way, sometimes if it is a tricky key signature or if it's a song that has lots of accidentals in it, I will sometimes start with the note naming and the key signature first. We'll talk about the key signature, then we'll note name in half notes. We'll disregard the rhythm. So we might go 1, 2, C, C sharp, C, E, C sharp, D, C. So that way they're really concentrating on the notes. And then we'll play it in half notes. They'll play through the song without rhythm, just straight half notes. They'll play all of the notes. That way they're really concentrating on the fingerings. Then I'll go to the adding in the rhythm, dawing, airing, and fingering and playing. So just a tip, if it's a lot of accidentals or a really challenging key, just play it in half notes like that. Next thing, so for our second and third year players, just an idea that I learned during COVID is the idea of having high schoolers to your feeder schools, whatever high schools you feed, inviting high schoolers to speak with your kids via Google Meet or via Zoom, so remotely, just through a virtual setting. What's really cool about this is, so my district uses the Google suite of applications. And so what I can do is I can get a former graduate of my school. I can just email them and go, hey, would you mind spending 10 minutes talking to my 8th graders about the high school band? And usually they're so excited to do it. I can just add them to my Google Classroom. That way they have the Meet link. They can click on it. And then I project it up on my, my board with my projector. And we just listen in, and I actually interview live the high school kid via Google Meet. And it's really neat for the kids. I usually interview about 4 or 5 kids in like November, December especially is where I do these interviews. And they just start hearing these common themes about who are band kids at high school. And they learn that they're academically high achieving. They learn that they're kids that, just really enjoy school and like being around people that want to work hard. They learn that, yes, they can do band and other things in high school. It doesn't take up your entire life. And there's lots of other things they learn. And there's nothing more powerful than a high schooler to tell them that. As you know, as teachers, we can tell them that and they'll believe us to a certain degree. But then when they hear it right from a high schooler, it's a real powerful way for students to go, hey, I want to try this high school band thing. I believe as middle level teachers, we need to really help facilitate as much as we can getting students into our high school programs. Whether we agree or disagree with the philosophy at the high school, we want to get kids staying in music as long as they can. Something to think about, if your kids are excited for their high school band experience, then they're going to be excited for your program. If their long-term vision matches their short-term, they're going to be just plugged in for your program and enjoying what you do. So if you've kind of left it to your high school teacher to do all of the, the recruitment per se, or, trying to get kids in the high school, reconsider it. Think about what your role could be. These interviews are a real easy way of getting students information about the high school program, and it's really easy to do too if you do it virtually like that. So try it out. It's been great. It's so fun interviewing those kids in front of the students. And also the other good thing is you can record those and use them year to year or show them to other classes. So anyway, just a good tip for a little bit of recruitment to get your kids into high school. Thanks. Bye-bye.